I just want to talk a little bit. I'm going to take this stick off my lap because I'm not even supposed to be using it. I told myself I was going to commit to Hitbox for a week, but I got really tilted dropping so many things on Hitbox, knowing that if I was doing them on lever, I wouldn't be dropping them, okay? So it's like a me issue. It's not really a controller issue, right? I've been playing Hitbox or leverless or Soiken Star layout. Not actually truly. Grab it. I've been playing this layout. I just hit myself in the chin, and this thing is full fucking aluminum or cast iron or steel, some shit made by the gods. Yeah, I have a little baby girl, and it feels nice. I don't hate the layout of the buttons, right? Only thing I think is that I'm a WASD player. I think I need a button up here, right? Jump being here or up being here is very odd for me. The layout of the buttons, how your hands come in together on them, is totally cool with me, right? As someone who played on the Vuelix layout for a long time, when it came to fighting games, I'm used to my hands not being straight like they are now on a noir cabinet or a noir setup, right? Where they're like straight like this, you turn your hand, boom, that's it, just like that, right? Now I have to bring my hands further in again, like this, for the Hitbox / Soiken Star layout, right? And it's comfortable, it's natural, it makes a lot of sense, right? I think that the device, if your hands are used to this and want to get used to up being down here, makes a lot of sense. Quarter circles have gotten easier over time. Half circles gotten easier over time. 4-6 inputs, 4-3 inputs, 3-2 inputs, charge motions, all of that stuff. The only thing that I still find very tricky, but it's also, I didn't do a lot of them, right? I played VF, and my character has 2 half circles, a half circle forward input and a half circle back input. And I tried a combo that requires both, and it was very, very tricky to get the half circle forward. Which is weird, because the half circle back felt very smooth and natural, probably because of the angle of these, right? Going back, boom. Going forward was a totally different beast, like especially trying to roll them so you can get the down forward and the down back, because you need those. You have to make sure you hit the 1 and the 3 input on a lot of the older games, right? But I think when it comes to older games with like less shortcuts, I think Hitbox is actually significantly worse. Maybe not worse, but it's a lot harder, right? It probably still has the right ergonomics in mind and the right inputs in mind because everything's still digital, right? But because of the fact that there's no shortcut, there's no input leniency and no shortcuts, I think that Hitbox is very strange, or Buttonbox in general is very strange for like the older style of games that require you to have all the right inputs. But for these newer games that have like a lot of input shortcuts and you can kind of fudge on the inputs a little bit, it'll still give it to you. NRS style games that only have down forward, back forward, down up, right? Things like that. I think that Hitbox is probably superior for those games. I think reminds me that people don't actually remember this. I don't know if anyone really remembers. Anyone who followed Mortal Kombat, the early NRS days, when Rio, one of the best Cabal players that existed in Mortal Kombat 9, one of the best Mortal Kombat players, NRS players to exist ever, Rio is an amazing Mortal Kombat player, switched to Hitbox for a little bit. I don't remember how many tournaments it was, if it was just one tournament, if it was experimental, but I distinctly remember him using Hitbox with Cabal and doing the lowest to the ground instant air gas blast we had ever seen. Everyone was like, what the fuck? This is magic. And it was really cool. And I think the reason why is because Tiger kneeing is also a lot easier on a device like this compared to Tiger kneeing on a device with the up button up here, right? Kara canceling, since you're just rolling from button to button, right? Even if you have to Kara cancel with like that, like say you're basically linking, you're doing this motion, you're like pianoing 2 buttons to get like some sort of a car cancel. That seems a lot easier on this, and I don't hate it, right? I'm trying to not talk down on Hitbox because one, I do still think that Hitbox / WSD box, like WAS boxes, are probably the best ergonomically for the long run, because eventually you are going to get repetitive strain, right? And some people literally just can't use a lever; it doesn't work. So if you maybe aren't having the results you like or not having as much fun as you think you would with fighting games on something like a pad or a stick, pick up a keyboard. Try keyboard. Maybe a keyboard is right for you. And if a keyboard feels right, but something's just a little bit off, maybe the next logical step is to try something like this that has actual buttons, right? You can always get a Mixbox too, but that's really expensive. Luckily, I have like a homie who was real enough to like let me try it so that I could figure out if I was even a box player. And I do think that I could get used to all buttons, but I don't think I get used to all buttons in this layout. I need my up to be where up is supposed to be. That's just me. It's like a mental thing. Other than that, I really like Hitbox. I'm going to keep playing on it for the rest of the week. And next time I see him, I'll hand it right back to him and be like, dude, you're sick for letting me borrow this, but damn, I don't think I'm good at this shit. Anyways, this has been 5 days of Hitbox, and by the time I give it back to my friend who let me borrow it, who I go to locals with, shout out to Sector Nix. I think he's like Cold Stare on Twitch. You guys should follow him on Twitch, watch his Rumbleverse and random Sonic Unleashed streams. I don't know why he's restreaming Sonic Unleashed, but his Rumbleverse stuff is sick. He's really good at Rumbleverse. You guys should watch him. But I'm gonna play on Hitbox for the rest of the week. But by the time this video comes out, I'll probably have already given it back to him. So if you have any questions about Hitbox, about any inputs I thought were easier or harder, any specific situations that came up that like made me have to stop and think a little more than normal, bring it to my attention. What if you flipped the thumb to down and instead of up? It would make random things like half circles really weird because you'd have to do this. You have to do that. Like you'd have to go forward, down, forward, forward. You'd have to do that. So with them being here, it makes a lot of sense. I'm glad you asked that now, right? I was right about to get the video wrapped up. Thank you for participating in the chat, Mr. Vast. Yeah, like half circles being here and quarter circles being here feels really good. Now, I think quarter circles like this actually make a lot of sense. They don't feel weird. But when it comes to half circle things, it feels a little more strange. And it's probably even more weird for things like Tiger Knee inputs, right? Where if you're trying to do this, that's probably weirder than doing this. Because your thumb is gonna sit here. Your thumb doesn't really move. I wish that I could like angle this in a way where you guys would be able to like easily see it. And we could do stuff. There we go. Yeah, right? So you guys can still hear me just fine. The way the normal, natural Hitbox layout is back, down, forward, jump, right? And what you're supposed to do is your thumb, either thumb, right? I'm a big-handed guy. So I stick my thumb here, my thumb doesn't move. Some people use this thumb instead, and they do this. I do this. Because I play Soul Calibur, and other fighting games that have block buttons like Virtual Fighter and DNF Duel, and I put my block button here. And I'm just so used to having my block button here. So having to swap here for my thumb between jump and guard is the worst. When I could just have all four of these appendages on this hand doing one button each. So something like a half circle back would be that. Right? Half circle back. Say I want to do, half circle forward, half circle back would be that. Say I want to do quarter circle forward would be that. Quarter circle forward into, this looks like alien tech to me. It is very foreign, right? It's super foreign. Quarter circle forward into a Tiger Knee is this. Look how easy that is. Like it makes a lot of sense ergonomically for someone who's used to or comes from maybe other genre of games where your space bar, where if you look at my keyboard right here, this bar right here, that's a jump button in a lot of shooting games. It's an alternative action button in other styles of games. So if you're used to that, this is probably really, really normal. But as someone who's really never played a lot of keyboard games, super foreign, I would just put up right here. This finger would be doing double duty instead of what a lot of people do. They have this finger doing double duty because they have this finger, the thumb on their right hand, having to move from here, and then this index finger is doing double work. I'd actually rather my movement hand be doing double work, especially my index finger on my movement hand. Right? I'd rather that be the case. Like I could probably still do Tiger Knees just fine, right? Like I could see myself doing Tiger Knees just fine. I can do them. I can do them fine on this too. I was doing them in Mortal Kombat X. It's really easy. Like Tiger Knee gunshot with Cat's Cage. It's not hard on this. I think that for certain styles of games, this thing is like just there's no beating it, no contest. Just the best input device, 100%. But it's very, very unintuitive, hard to learn. I think when you first start, you're gonna end up a little bit, right? When you first start, you're gonna end up kind of putting yourself into a situation where you have to think through a lot more of the actions you would normally have on flowchart, on pad, on stick, on keyboard, whatever. Maybe not on keyboard, right? Because this is similar enough to one that maybe just changing that W to space, you know, that you'd be all right. But in a lot of other situations, like coming from stick, which I did, or coming from pad, and I used to play on pad. I was a pad player for most of Dragon Ball FighterZ before Soul Calibur 6 came out, because I refused to buy a stick again because I wasn't super interested in fighting games until Soul Calibur 6 came out. Thank goodness. But I was a stick player all before that. So I had, you know, a couple months of maybe almost a year of a pad practice, right? So I could pick up a pad and probably do all the same combos I do in Soul Calibur on pad easier than I can do them on this. Like, I can get them done on this. They're going to happen, but they're going to be slower. Like, the point of an input device like this, once you get it down, is that you are probably the fastest you are ever going to be on some sort of all-digital device. Whether it be leverless in a Hitbox or WASD box layout. And I think that there is merit to trying to learn it. Even if you don't think it's for you, there's no reason in not attempting to learn something new. So you can kind of learn the ins and outs of a controller like this, just in case there ever comes a time where you are forced to switch, right? Instead of swapping off fighting games completely because maybe you have some sort of hand issues or sticks just not available anymore, right? Maybe the parts that you like and the only parts you play with are no longer manufactured. Shoutouts to most people who use American arcade parts. Pretty hard to find. You know, you have to use Suzo Industrious Lorenzo. Coming from pad to anything is really hard because you never use anything other than your fingers unless you play claw. So going from only thumbs to your whole hand is a big jump. Yeah, I agree. So that's why I said, like, this is going to hold you back for like a month, right? Maybe 2. I'm feeling a lot more comfortable on it than I was before. Okay, I was tilted earlier in the stream, but I definitely feel a lot more comfortable with this now than I did day 1, day 2, right? Especially in actual match settings. Something that my friend who switched from stick to Hitbox told me is, oh, you're getting everything in training mode? Like, you feel comfortable in training mode? Go to actual matches and then try it. And he was super right. Doing it in actual matches where there's another person fighting against me, where I have to think about what my opponent's doing, think about what I'm doing, think about what my controller layout wants me to do. It's a whole lot of mental instability. And not in like an I am belonging in a sane asylum sort of way. Like I'm fighting my controller while fighting my opponent sort of way. And it feels bad for a while, but I think maybe you find out that it's the input device for you. I've had friends who played on stick for years and got a button box and realized, holy shit, like this is what I should have been playing on for years. I never knew that personally I've been way more comfortable with all buttons than I ever was with stick. And I don't think that's me. Like I said, I think maybe one day we'll try some sort of a mixed box stick amalgamation. But I think for now we're gonna stick to letter. We're gonna finish learning this for the rest of the week. We're gonna slog through it, learn as much as we can. And you enjoyed this little informative hitbox button box leverless rant/informative piece. That's super off the top of the dome, very impromptu, as all my videos are. Feel free to leave a like on the video. Comment down below if you've ever tried a button box or want to try a button box, right? A leverless, a hitbox, mixed box, whatever the fuck you want to call it. I don't care, right? And let me know if that's something that you want to try, and if you want to. I'm going to tell you now, to everyone watching this YouTube video, do it. If you have some means to try a hitbox or a mixed box at your locals, you have a friend who has one, you can get one very cheaply, even if it's very, very poorly made, right? Try it, give it a shot, because maybe it's the input device for you that you didn't know you needed all along. Anyways, this has been Beanie Thuggish for the YouTubes, signing out and saying peace.